The message that I'm going to share with you this afternoon,
今天下午要分享的信息，
I've never ever preached in my life before.
我从未讲过这一道信息，
But this was a seed the Lord put in my heart 40 years ago.
但是这个种子是神40年前栽种在我的心里面。
And in the 40 years, the Lord began to cause it to germinate.
这40年当中，让这个种子开始发芽。
And the Lord prepared me,
神一直不断的预备我，
molded me,
一直塑造我，
so that I can now prepare the end-time army of God for what is going to come in the last days.
为了预备末后的军队，在末后的日子来面对。
If you look at the life of the prophet Moses,
如果我们看着先知摩西的生平，
there were 2 phases of his life
他有2个阶段，他的生命2个阶段。
where the Lord prepared him for 40 years and 40 years.
神预备他40年，然后40年。
The first 40 years,
前面的40年，
the Lord taught him about public administration,
教导他公共的行政，
how to manage a nation.
如何管理一个国家。
It was like a school of government that he
这
attended.
是在政治的一个学校。
And the Bible tells us
圣经告诉我们
he，was schooled in the best of the wisdom of Egypt.
他学到所有埃及人的知识。
Then in the second phase of 40 years of his life,
在后面这另外一个40年呢，
the Lord taught him how to be a shepherd.
神教导他成为一个牧羊人，
Not only you need administrative skills,
不只是有一个行政的能力，
but now you need to be a shepherd of God.
哇，你要成为一个牧羊人。
So for 40 years, the Lord caused him to unlearn everything that he learned in Egypt.
再来这个40年，让他慢慢的忘记他过去前面40年在埃及所学的所有的知识。
In Egypt, he was prepared as the crown prince.
在埃及，他要成为王子，
He was going to be the next Pharaoh.
因为他成为下一个法老。
That was how he was groomed and trained.
他是被人塑造、被预备、被训练。
So now when he came into the desert,
他现在来到旷野了，
so all the Egypt that is in his brain must be removed out.
所有关于埃及的事情立刻马上挪
So
开。
40 years of experience
所以40年的经历，
and 40 years of unlearning.
40年的忘记这些东西。
And then God trained him out to be a shepherd.
神训练他成为一个牧羊人，
That is why the prophet Moses was called the meekest man in the world.
所以先知摩西是全世界最谦卑的人。
For 40 years he saw nothing but the sheep and the goats.
40年什么都没有看见，只有看到羊跟山羊。
And the sheep and the goats, they don't fight.
山羊跟羊不会打架，
And they are like dumb animals,
因为他们很笨，
especially the sheep.
特别是羊。
So he learned 40 years how to be patient.
所以40年他学习怎么样有耐心，
Because he is going to carry on his heart 3 million of hard-headed, stiff-necked people.
因为未来的40年他要照顾这些将近300万的这个是顽固的人，
So God trained him.
所以神预备他。
The same way, look at the life of the prophet
我
Elijah.
们看看以利亚先知，
For 30 years of his life, we do not know where he was.
30年之久，我不知道他跑去哪里了，
Similar to John the Baptist.
就像施洗约翰一样。
For the first 30 years of his life,
前面他的30年的生
he
活，
was in the desert,
他也在旷野里面，
trained by God.
神训练他。
Similarly, look at the Lord Jesus.
看着耶稣，
For 30 years, he was just a nobody in a home in Nazareth.
主耶稣在拿撒路这个地方，没有人认识他。
And look at the Apostle Paul.
使徒保罗
For 3 years, he was in the desert of Arabia.
3年他在阿拉比亚的那个旷野里面，
That was his seminary.
那个就是他的神学院，
There was no one there.
没有人在那边，
It was the Lord who taught him and prepared him.
只有神跟他对话，预备他。
So in the same manner,
所以同样的，
for 40 years, the Lord taught me and trained me what I'm going to share with you now.
所以这40年之久我所学的，我现在要跟你分享。
It all began one day in November of 1983.
1983年的11月发生这件事情。
Now this, you don't need to write all this.
请不要写下来，没有关系。
I'm not going to tell you my story now.
我现在在跟你分享我的故事。
When we enter into the message, I will give you the clue.
那我们开始讲圣经的时候，你就可以写，
Then you can
好不好？
start writing.
那你那个时候可以写。
If not, you will write my
不然的
autobiography.
话，你要写我的自传啊。
You don't want to do that, right?
你还没有要写，对不对？
So one night in that day, we were fasting and praying, 3 of us.
那时候3个人，那个晚上我们在禁食祷告，
And the Lord appeared in our midst.
神出现在我们的当中。
And He said, today I'm going to make covenants with you.
今天我要跟你立约，
So whatever each one of you will make a covenant with me,
如果其中你们3个人愿意跟我立约的话，
I will make a counter covenant with you.
我又跟你立另外一个约。
So we were all very excited.
哇，我们都很兴奋。
So the first person was a college professor.
第一个是大学的教授，
He knelt down and he lifted up his hands and he began to cry at the top of his voice, making covenants.
他跪下来大声的喊，就是跟神立约。
And then the Lord spoke.
然后神说话，
If you will do this, I will do this for you.
神说：“如果你做这样子，我就为你做这样子。”
Then the other was another man of God.
另外一个神的仆人，
He was very wise.
他非常聪
He
明，
didn't open his mouth and say verbally
他讲话嘴巴没有说出任何的声音，
because you don't want witnesses for your covenants.
因为你不要让人家知道你的约是给人家看见的。
If you break, nobody knows.
如果你断开这个约，没有人知道。
So while they were all praying,
他们2个在祷告的时候
I
呢，
was thinking in my
我
heart,
在我心里面想
what covenant shall I make?
我要做跟神立什么约呢？
So I was just thinking and
我
thinking,
在想，
but my mind was blank.
但是我的脑是空的，
I didn't know what covenant to make.
不知道立什么约。
So when the second man of God was done,
第二个神的仆人结束了，
so now it was my turn.
换到我了。
So I was about to say something
我预备好讲说话的时候，
when the Lord spoke suddenly.
突然间神介入了。
He said, if you will covenant to spend so many hours waiting at my feet,
如果你愿意花多少时间在我的脚前安静等候的话，
I don't want to say the number because it's specially for me.
我不要说这个数字，是因为是我的个人的，
It may not work for you.
因为对你可能不会有效力。
For you, you may not require that number.
或许你不需要那个数字
For you, maybe just few minutes.
几分钟，或许你几分钟就够了。
So for me, I require that
我就要
many.
那么长的时间。
If you will spend this many number of hours at my feet every day,
如果你愿意每一天花这么多的时间在我的脚前的话，
I will cause my saints, my martyrs, and my angels to come and fellowship with
我
you.
会叫我的圣徒这些殉道者，我的天使与你交通。
When I heard that,
我听到的时候，
I was excited.
哇，太棒了！
Of course, I didn't understand the full meaning of it,
其实我当时不了解这个所有的意思是什么，
but it sounded nice to the ears.
听起来耳朵很好听啊！
The fellowship of the saints,
哇，这个圣徒的交通，
the fellowship of the martyrs in
哇，这
heaven,
殉道者的交通，
the fellowship of the angels.
天使来陪伴我。
My nephew who taught you the baby song earlier,
我的那个外甥，他刚才教你唱这首歌，
his wife is in our midst.
他太太在我们当中，
It was her grandfather who mentored me.
因为是他的祖父教导我、辅导我。
Her grandfather is a mighty saintly man of God.
哇，他的祖父是非常很有圣洁的一个仆人，
So he had such deep walk with God.
他跟神有很深的行走，
His ministry is like John the Baptist.
就像施洗约翰的服事一样，
And he had a face-to-face relationship with God like Moses.
就像摩西一样，他跟神面对面。
So in his messages, he used to share about his mystical
所以他
experiences.
常常分享这些奥秘的经历。
So hearing him share all that,
所以我听了他讲那么多的事情，
I began to yearn.
哇，我也渴慕了，
So how nice it will be
太棒了！
if I can also have visitations like that.
哇，如果有这种造访多好啊！
So my ears were already trained listening to all that.
我的耳朵已经开始被训练，听到这些声音。
So now when the Lord told me the same thing,
但是神跟我讲同样的话的时候，
how can I let go?
怎么可以放开呢？
So I was willing to pay any price for that.
愿意付出任何的代价。
So immediately I jump up and say, yes, Lord, I will do it.
我说站起来说神啊，我愿意。
And then I made 2 other covenants.
然后另外2个约，
So everything ended.
所以就停止了。
And because I was at that time working in another men's ministry,
因为我那时候是在另外一个牧师的下面服侍，
I don't have the privilege of spending whole day at the feet of the Lord.
没有办法花那么整天的时间在耶稣的脚前。
But one day when I had the time,
有一天有时间了，
I spent the whole day waiting on God according to what the Lord told me.
整天的时间按照神教导我的方式等候神。
When I did the first time,
第一次呢，
that's when I had the first breakthrough.
哇，第一个突破来了。
At the end of that evening,
在那一天的晚上，
that's when I saw the Lord Jesus entered into my prayer room
我看到耶稣走进到我的祷告室，
like a real man,
真的像一个人一样，
wearing a royal blue robe.
蓝色的圣袍，
And he came and knelt down beside me.
就坐在我旁边。
And he said, I have come to pray with you.
我来跟你一起祷告。
From that moment onwards,
从那个时候开始，
every time I pray,
每一次我祷告，
I always see the Lord Jesus beside
我
me.
都会看到主耶稣在我的身旁。
So that was the first breakthrough.
但是第一个突破，